is up, everybody? Happy Monday. Monday after Mother's Day. Hope everybody had a good one. We had a pretty long day. Usually how it goes with us. Multi-family, events. But it was a good time. We did plenty of good eating and good drinking and, pretty exhausted after the whole day. But I think my wife had fun. I think all the mothers had fun. So congratulations to everybody. Today we're here solo. Nobody's here. Gabby couldn't be here. Today we do our new Monday recap shows, which I'm enjoying. The last one was only live for like a day before it got taken down because apparently the UFC thought there was an issue with copyright and pulled it down. So YouTube did that very quickly. So I don't know who was able to see it. I thought it was a good episode, but apparently, maybe we can't show so much of the fights. I don't know. It's very tricky. It's I thought that as long as you're doing commentary, it falls within proper, fair use. But why? Whatever. Who cares, right? So no videos today. But and then moving forward, we'll see. Maybe just some clips here and there. I guess we kind of broke it down a little bit long last time, but it was an okay weekend of fights, in my opinion. The UFC, the thing is, coming off of such a big card, it kind of makes every other card feel small, and there has to be big moments that shine in order for the whole event to feel like a big success. But I thought overall it was pretty enjoyable. There was also some good boxing, which I shared my thoughts about on the episode with Randy Brown, Canelo versus Saunders. So I'll get to that in a second. But let's just look through the card, the UFC card first, and I'll make a couple comments about that. The first fight, so a lot of fights fell through. One of them being Angie Hill, which I was looking forward to that fight. We broke down that fight. We made some picks for that fight. So that was disappointing. Ribas apparently tested positive for COVID, which is weird to me because how many times you get tested, in this whole process. So the fact that they weighed in, faced off, and all that stuff, and then she comes out positive, maybe I'm just not aware of 100% of the workflow for them and how long it takes to get the results and everything. But a little odd to me. She's already had COVID, she said. So she said it could be a false positive. Either way, bummer. So it's going to have to be rescheduled, I'm sure, even though Angie came out and said she, who wants to fight a certain day. So maybe she's trying to get a quicker turnaround. But who knows? I think that would have been a good fight. So hopefully they reschedule that soon. So with that said, fights shift. And I was pretty happy to see that Kyle Dawkins, one of the Cage Side alums, badass from Philly, brothers to Chris Dawkins, also in the UFC. So he fought. His fight got moved up, so he opened up the main event, which was exciting. It didn't go his way. I thought he looked really good. The problem to me, he fought Phil Hawes, right? Hawes apparently had gas tank issues. Didn't seem to be the case in this one. I thought Dawkins was doing great. I think the effort to try to keep on taking him down wasn't really working well. I would have loved to have seen him strike a little bit more because he caught him, a spinning fist? And he wobbled him, and I thought he was going to get the finish. But then, Phil he basically gets on top of him and just smothers him, which is fine, right? That's part of the game. What bothered me was the use of the hands. Like, one thing is being strategic with your hands. I know it was obviously clean enough for it to fly, but the rubbing of the fingers in the mouth and in the eyes and the constant, basically not letting the fighter breathe and all. Listen, if it's legal, it's legal. But at the same time, like, what do you not want to fight? Like, do you not feel confident in what you can do? Because you're not going for the finish. You're not going for the submission. You're not going for the ground and pound. You're just smothering the crap out of the guy. I don't know. It wasn't, people were saying Phil looked good. I thought he looked good, but I just didn't like that technique. I invited him on the show. It would be great to get him on the show and talk more about it. But anyway, I believe that was Kyle's first loss, definitely in the UFC. You know, it was a bummer, but you know, you learn from these things and you come back even stronger. I have no doubt that he'll come back and dominate after this fight. So we'll see. Also, Phil, the hair, I wasn't expecting the blonde hair. Apparently I missed this whole process. But yeah, he rocked it. Somebody made a joke about that. Who made a joke about it? I think it was the Beast. I don't know. Anyway, so then the next fight was Farada versus Gillespie. So if you saw the last episode, I wasn't aware that Randy Brown is teammates with Gillespie. And I picked Gillespie because I like Gillespie and I thought he could win. But it was funny because Randy was kind of testing me to see if I was going to pick him or if I was going to talk him. Yeah, I never try to trash talk anybody or like say anything bad about any fighters. I respect all these fighters. I pick my favorites. I pick, well, you know, I pick and I go hard sometimes on some people and just for the fun. But Gillespie looked phenomenal. Got the W. So, you know, I'm trying to get him on the show as well. I would love to talk to him more about his finish. He won in the second round by KO. So, you know, great fight. Great showing. Randy Brown promises that he's he could have beat Khabib because of how skilled he is. Can't wait to see more, of him. He lost that one fight with Kevin Lee by a nasty knockout. Can happen to anybody. Came back and looked phenomenal. So congratulations to Gregor Gillespie, fighting out of North Jersey, New York. Is that right? Then this is a funny one. So Green versus Marcos, right? So the fight. So Green was getting taken down nonstop. So anyway, it was a decision and Green lost. But let's talk about the funniest part of the fight. Hold on, I got it pulled up here real quick. So Herb Dean, which I love Herb Dean. Herb Dean is, our favorite referee in the house. So we're always like kind of rooting for him, but even, he's not fighting, but we always root for him. He got very upset about the fingers in the eyes, and more importantly, the late punch. But so he talked to them like he was their dad. It was hilarious right before the round started. But before that, we all thought that this came out of Herb Dean's mouth. Now they're saying that it didn't, but if it did, it was fucking hilarious. So let's listen to it here.
We're back. I want you guys to take a look and a listen at the end of that second round. Look. Stop! Hey, motherfucker!
So basically, very late punch after the bell, and we all thought that Herb Dean cursed the shit out of the guy, and he was not taking it, which basically was what happened anyway, because this is how it went down as soon as the round began. Let's see. Come on, play from here. Give me 1 second. You gotta love these by myself shows. Just cue everything up.
You, watch your fingers. They were in his eye. No, stop. Yes, sir. They were right here. You're cupping. Keep it clean.
Yes,
Don't
sir.
get me involved in this.
I try to go to
Stop.
his mouth.
Your foul was more serious. Get it together. Next time, it may be more than just a point. Get it together.
So what I love is that Green was very apologetic and was trying to still make excuses. And he's like, yes, sir. I was just trying to hurt. He's like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to just shut your mouth. Don't do it again. Don't get me involved. It was pretty funny. So anyway, Maurice Green lost that fight. That takes us to Neal Magney versus Jeff Neal. So Jeff Neal had a bunch of issues before his last fight against Wonderboy. Still looked good, but lost that fight. I thought this was going to be like fireworks. I thought this was going to be a great fight. It was a good fight. I like Neal Magney. I was going for, I picked Neal Magney to win. Neal Magney looked good. I just felt like it was a constant look for landing the strike. It was, the action just wasn't happening. Now, Jeff went in there blitzing, trying to get those punches to come through, but he wasn't getting them. Neal Magney showed that he was a veteran, used his craftiness, got the win, looked good, and just ready for the next one. But it's one of those fights where you're like, all right, that happened. What's going to be next? Apparently, they are asking him if he wants to fight Kazmat, and he confirmed that he has no problem fighting Kazmat, that he would put on a show. I think that would be great because Leon Edwards was supposed to fight Kazmat, but now Leon Edwards we want to fight Diaz. So makes perfect sense. Kazmat hasn't fought anybody, huge name-wise or anything like that. Neal Magney is a great next step to set it to rest. Are you that good? Or, maybe you can't hang in there with some of the big boys. So I think it would be very smart for Neal Magney. Everybody would tune in. Everybody wants to see if Kazmat's legit or not. So I like that. He confirmed that to Brett Okamoto. So then, I'm going to take a sip of my tea real quick before we talk about this one because Donald Cowboy Cerrone. We all know this. One of my favorites. I root for the guy no matter what. I look forward to his fights. This one, I don't know. He was supposed to fight Diego Sanchez. That whole thing. Let's just not even talk about that. But then they replace him with Morano. I don't know much about Morano, but I wasn't super excited for this fight. I wasn't, usually I'm like amped, even if I know he can, Cowboy can lose or whatever. I'm usually very pumped for it. And it wasn't drawing me. It really wasn't drawing me in. But so Cowboy comes out. Everybody's talking about, when they talk before the fights, like Anik and all these people in DC, when they're talking to the fighters ahead of time, they kind of know the game plan a little bit, what they're thinking, their state of mind. They were all saying that Cowboy was ready. He sometimes has a little bit of a hard time with coming, with how he feels when he comes out and whether he's up for it or not. He just doesn't perform how he wanted to. They were saying that this is how we like Cowboy. He was ready to go. So Cowboy comes out looking okay. Morano, just goes straight at him. It ended so quickly that it's very disappointing. We're talking about Cowboy, I think, at this point, losing 6 fights in a row. The one that was where he it was his last fight was I can't say the damn word, is a tie, a draw. There we go, a draw. I don't know why I always forget the word draw. Anyway, it was a draw. But so that's 6 fights in a row. Usually fighters, when they get 4 fights, straight losses, they're out. The UFC gets rid of them. Cowboy's in this weird place where he's probably going to have to make the decision himself unless he starts getting hurt, deeply in these fights, which I don't think he was. But he's getting stopped. He's getting finished. And, I hate to see it. I think everybody loves Cowboy, and I think everybody's disappointed to continue to see him lose. Now, let's go over Cowboy's last fights, because he's fought the best in that division, in those divisions. And I bring that up because that means, I think, a lot, in my opinion. Here we go. So his record. So let's go backwards. Morano, lost by KO, TKO punches. One before that, Nico Price. It was overturned, no contest. Actually, what was that? No contest. That should have been a draw. Anyway, Anthony Pettis, Conor McGregor, Justin Gaethje, Tony Ferguson. Those are his last 4. Those are the 4 losses before Nico Price. Before that, he had some wins. Iaquinta, Mike Perry, Hernandez. Before that, lost to Leon Edwards. Win to Jancy Medeiros, which they're buddies. Lost to Darren Till, lost to Robbie Lawler, lost to Jorge Masvidal. Before that, win against Matt Brown. The fighter, he's fighting everybody of names. Everybody who has a name. So who else is how does this career go now? You've already fought the best. You've either lost or won against them. So your next couple fights are going to end up being, either unknowns, very low ranked fighters, and you're still getting finished. So my point is, we're doing this to end up with a legacy and not not end up with all these losses as part of your legacy. But you're going to end up fighting who in order to preserve your legacy? I don't see this going well. I love Cowboy. Would love to continue to see him fighting. I get excited to see him fight. But if this is what we're going to keep on doing, or you're going to get wins against somebody who nobody knows, like, that's still not good for your legacy. So in my opinion, I say hang it up. I say continue with your ranch. Continue developing these fighters. Continue being a badass. And do your thing. Be Cowboy. Let Cowboy do Cowboy. So that was my thoughts. It was a bummer. I thought he was going to pull it off. But then the main event, I thought the main event was actually good. I thought it was worthy of the main event position. Rodriguez fought Waterson. Rodriguez won. I thought Waterson, so it's one of those nights where, like, I'm looking at Waterson, I'm like, all right, she's not winning every second of the round, but she looks good. And she's aggressive and she's landing. But then you hear everybody else talking about what they see in Rodriguez and what she's doing, and you're like, well, am I not seeing the same fight? Or like, it was closer than what I was hearing, from the commentators and from everybody. So I thought Waterson did enough to win, but Rodriguez looked good. Rodriguez, she bangs. Like, she just goes for it. And, and just looks good. I don't think she did that much damage. I think the kick from Waterson that immediately blew up her cheek was more effective. There was some spinning, fancy punches there that, Waterson looked good. It was just, I think Rodriguez did enough to win the fight. I think, it's fair. But I had Waterson winning. I wanted her to win. I picked her, but I thought she did enough. She could have won the fight. But then, so that was the UFC, so it was all right. It wasn't anything crazy. This next weekend, bigger fights. We have Oliveira versus Chandler. We were going to have Diaz versus Leon Edwards, which sucks that it fell through. But Chandler, I'm interested in that. I want to see what's going to happen. I mean, one of them's going to end up with the belt. And will Chandler do enough to get it? He says he's going to knock him out in the first round. We'll see. But that has a bunch of people. That has Tony Ferguson versus Dariush. I don't know how I feel about that one. Chukagian coming back again. So, she's fought a ton. She's taken a little bit of time here, but she's back. Barboza versus Burgos. I think that's going to be a good fight. So there's plenty to look forward to. Now, Canelo versus Saunders. I thought Saunders brought a good game plan to the fight. I think Saunders was either winning. So here's the thing. Either Saunders was winning the fight or he was looking better against Canelo than most anybody recently has looked against Canelo. But it's Canelo, so he's going to win the rounds probably. Even if they're not going necessarily his way, you have to be very, 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 you have to make it very obvious that you won the round. Saunders didn't necessarily do that. Saunders looked great. His boxing looked good against Canelo. But Canelo has developed this power. I don't know when the hell it came from. But he's developed this awesome power. And you can hear it, you can see it, and he puts everything into it. So he was missing a lot of those punches. So Saunders looked, I thought, great at in his defense against him, especially avoiding the uppercuts. Canelo kept on trying to land those uppercuts. When he landed body shots, they were good. He caught Saunders with one, where Saunders acknowledged that you got me on that one. But for the most part, I'm like, Saunders is probably not going to win the decision here, but he's going to show that he was good enough to win, and could have certainly won the fight. I don't think he was going to knock out Canelo. There was a very big difference in power, I thought. So I didn't think that was going to be possible. But he was landing some good shots on Canelo, and that goes a long way. Especially after Canelo with Jacobs, where Canelo was in the fucking Matrix or something. But In this case, he was getting caught. Canelo wasn't landing all the punches. And it was looking good until Canelo got loose, felt comfortable, and I'm like, all right, what's going to happen? He's getting a little confident. This is usually how the tide turns, and Canelo wins, but maybe not tonight. So the same uppercut that Saunders had avoided several times throughout the fight, which could have meant everything, right? If he continued to avoid him. Well, he got cracked with that. And immediately, I'm like, there goes the orbital bone. I mean, it was visible that this sunk in. It was immediately dark, purplish, discolored. I'm like, shit. All right. So he's hurt. But also funny because when you watch so much MMA, you forget how boxing works sometimes. And MMA fighters hurt like this a lot more than boxers. They have chances to also avoid getting hit because they can take down, they can do all these other things. So as soon as that happened, I'm like, he'll be all right. And then I'm like, nope, he's not going to be all right because the next round, he's going to come out and he's going to either be hesitant to not get hit again in the face, or he's going to be damaged enough where he's going to get knocked out. So it was a shocker. It's one of those things that like, I guess I don't hear it or something. And then like, boom, the fight's done. And then Canelo's on the ropes. I'm like, well, what the hell happened? Did the doctor stop it? Well, apparently the corner stopped it. Not apparently, they did. But apparently it wasn't Saunders who said that he wanted to quit. I think he just said he couldn't see. And then the corner decided to stop it. Then Canelo comes out and says, oh, I knew I broke his cheek and he wasn't going to come out. It's like, all right, dude, maybe. But I think Saunders could have continued to fight well. He wasn't hurt. He was hurt. His face was hurt, but he wasn't, you know what I mean? He wasn't, he didn't get knocked down. He didn't look like he had any issues in that sense. So he could have came out and done great. It sounds like I'm just pushing for Saunders here. I give Canelo all the respect. I think he continues to look good. Two guys that I've said could get Canelo's number. One was Saunders. That didn't work. Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant's not a household name, I don't think. But I've been watching him for a while, and I like what he has to offer. And I've been saying, I think he was rumored to maybe even get the fight with Canelo before, but it just never happened. I'm like, that could have been it. But Plant, follow him on Instagram. Like his whole thing with his daughter, his whole thing from coming up with nothing, like all the things he's overcome, where he's put himself at. He's a likable dude. He's a solid ass boxer. Has the belt that's needed for Canelo to unify. So that looks like that's next. And listen, it's not going to be another easy one for Canelo. Probably Canelo wins again and unifies the title, and then I don't know what the hell's left. But Caleb Plant, another exciting fight. Well, that's what I like. I like the potential for a good fight with Canelo, because I thought that was enjoyable. I thought this weekend was enjoyable. Canelo's fights sometimes bore me or just frustrate me, I guess. But this one was good, and I think Caleb Plant will be the same way. So, that was a good night of boxing when it comes to that. So we'll see what's in store for that fight. How soon they'll make the fight, and and see what's left of his career. Because what else do you prove at this point? You've gone up in weight. You stayed where you stayed put and gotten all the belts basically. So what do you do now? What's the next challenge? A lot of people calling him out. Boo Boo got him in backstage, and I've never heard Canelo curse and flip out in English, which is impressive. And that was like a whole scene back there of saying that one hasn't fought anybody and that he will knock him out, all this stuff. So it's entertainment, but I don't think that fight's gonna happen, at least not soon. So yeah, decent, good, weekend of fights. Next weekend, some great stuff. And this Thursday, we have a CFFC fighter, and we have a Zoom interview with La Perla Boxing, Gabriel from La Perla Boxing, so I'm from Puerto Rico. La Perla, if you guys don't know what it is, look it up. But it's basically a small part small little town section in San Juan that has become more popular recently. But it has its own history. It's all the little colorful houses right by the water. Actually, last time we went to Puerto Rico was the first time I stepped foot in La Perla, inside. And we went to eat. It was phenomenal. Phenomenal, great people down there, and the food was excellent and all this stuff. So, but funny enough, I didn't know that this gym is in La Perla, and it's an MMA boxing gym. And Puerto Rico, I'm very curious about the Puerto Rico MMA scene because I don't know enough about it. But it seems as though people know to go to Puerto Rico to train. So funny enough, I start following them or start communicating with them to try to get them on. I want to talk about this whole Puerto Rico MMA scene, But then I see that Logan Paul is training at that gym. I'm like, well, what are the odds, right? What are the odds that I'm discovering this gym, but then all of a sudden that's where Logan Paul. So there's got to be a reason for why he targeted that gym. So I want to talk to them about that as well. Maybe they can hook it up and get Logan on the show. I don't think so, but we'll see. But yeah, I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see kind of what that world looks like. So at one point, the UFC said that they were gonna open up a PI in Puerto Rico to develop fighters to get that market, but to get fighters from Puerto Rico developed from the island to then bring them and get kind of that attention. So very smart, obviously playing. They're doing this in different parts of the world, Mexico. So yeah, a lot to ask them about on Thursday. I do the interview on Thursday and then I drop it on Friday. So look out for that episode. It should be going. So, well, thanks for joining me on this other Monday recap version of Cageside. Make sure you're sharing. Make sure you're subscribing to the show. Our numbers need to grow. I'm committed to doing this twice a week for you guys. But I love the interactivity. Please tell me what you want. Please tell me what you don't like. Shoot ideas for guests. Let's build it together. Let's be the biggest combat sports show coming out of Philly. We can take this as far as we want to take it. I just need everybody's support. So thanks for watching. Appreciate it. See you Thursday. Bye.